You're listening to the KB Podcast Network.
Hello, friends. You're listening to Supernatural Living with your host, Beth Packard. Today on this episode, I am going to be sharing just a little clip of an interview that I did with the host of the Kingdom Bringer podcast, Darin Eubanks. We got into all sorts of mighty kingdom things, and just a little part of that is some of my biggest passion. You know, when I shared a few weeks ago about my biggest passion being just helping people step into their destiny and their calling, I have been introduced to just such an amazing new program, and I want to share it with you and tell you all about it and see if it's something that might interest you as kingdom people. So I want you to enjoy this, to be blessed by it, and I hope that at the end, you realize how important and how amazing you are. I hope you do. That is my desire with this. So enjoy.
Let's talk about Beth. Let's talk about supernatural living.
Let's do it.
You have a podcast, Beth.
I do.
Did you know that?
I do. It's incredible.
Supernatural Living with Beth Packard is part of the KB Podcast Network. And talk to me real quick. Talk to us about your heart behind the podcast. Why did you start that? Except for the fact that I forced you to.
Well,
why did you start this podcast?
You cannot force me to do anything.
Hey!
You you were instrumental in it, but I just really love having a place to just share my heart and allow people to just really dive in. I have a heart for helping people move from boring Christianity, if you want to call it that, or what I would consider religion, into living a powerful life with Jesus, just rocking your world and actually like believing the stuff that's in the Bible and acting on it. And so I feel like this podcast is a great platform to do that, to help people know that, you know what, I am not some wild, I have not, I don't have any amazing schooling. I don't have, anything that the normal everyday Christian has, like I'm no different than anybody else. And yet I am willing, and I've said yes, and the Lord uses that, and we each have a unique voice, and we each have a unique calling, and just helping people understand that people need to hear what the Lord is doing in and through us. And so I use the podcast as an opportunity to just share my stories and share my heart and what God's teaching me, and I hope that it is just blessing the socks off of people and they're growing. I know I get, your socks are already off, Darin.
Hey.
It must be working. But I want to empower others, women, men, whoever's listening. Like I want to empower them that they have a voice and that they are powerful and they need to use it for the right kingdom.
Yeah. And it's just one stream of ministry that you get to participate in. Share with us some other avenues where you're kind of gifted and have the opportunity to bless people. What's some other avenues that the Lord has kind of blessed you with in regards to ministry?
I have several of them. You're right. Aaron and I are the senior leaders at the Gathering Revival Center in Winfield, and we have all sorts of fun there leading our team. And I've got my own business that I run from home, and I've got a team of about 350 people that I lead as well. And whether they like it or not, I drip Jesus into everything we do because he is my life, he's in me. He's all, all consuming. And so I do that as well and run that business from home. Homeschool my kids. That's a pretty big ministry. Like I'm raising up and equipping disciples, essentially.
Yes,
like
there
my
you go.
first one just went out into the nations,
Wow.
like my oldest
Yeah.
that I've homeschooled since he was itty bitty, he's always been home with me. And I would say that I must be doing a good job.
Yeah.
I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one that he chose, that he wants to do. He wants to stay in the family business and he wants to go. He'll be a third generation missionary pastor, like I already know it. The call's there. He said yes. And there he goes. So to me, that's really powerful. I'm not even crying about it, but it's so incredible to see that taking place. Yeah. And then I've given myself a deadline of July 1st to get my very first book into the publisher.
Yay. Do you realize last time I had you on, I think it was episode 19, maybe? Does that sound right? Do you know? I don't know.
Maybe.
Episode 19, I think. And I don't think you'd started yet. Had you? Had you
Not
started
really.
writing yet?
I don't think so.
You were discussing getting the guts to actually move forward with this. Yeah. And I don't think you'd started writing yet, but you are finished.
I am finished.
For the most part, you're done, right?
Just a few edits left and waiting on a couple of things, and then we'll get that processed. And 4 to 6 months from now, I will have that book in hand, and I'm just really excited. The people that have had the opportunity to read it have just been like blown away by what the Lord revealed to me during that process. And the whole book is about just that journey that the Lord took me on from religion and hating it, not wanting a dead religion that had no power, but what that looked like as I crossed over and bridged into a deep intimacy with Jesus. And so it's just some prophetic dreams that I had and just me kind of that whole process, those years of my life where the Lord just took me through that. And it's a fast read. It's like a sit down, start it and finish it in the same night kind of a read. But to me, that's kind of how I am.
I doubt it.
Why?
I can't read that fast.
Yes, you can. You can read fast.
This one's different than every other book.
I challenge you. It's so good. You're going to read it in one night.
I'm going to read it, but it's not going to take me a day. I could read it in maybe a month if I put my mind to it.
No, I challenge you before every one of our listeners. I believe you can do it. It's going to be that amazing.
Whoa. Okay. I'm down. I think I shared this with you. I've never really had this podcast is all about you and what you're doing and me and what I don't have a desire to do.
That's awesome, Darin.
You guys have gone overseas. I've never really had a passion for that. You've written a book. I've never really had a desire to write a book. I love writing. I do some writing. Doing a book just seems so daunting to me. Was this a daunting task for you?
It kind of was. And for me, like writing it, the initial writing was not hard. Reading it over and over and over again is so boring.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm editing it and I'm trying to make sure that like it's flowing the way I want it to flow. And just that part of the editing process is very daunting. And I think that's what most people never finish is that part.
Let me ask you a question. This might be like inside sports type question, but like, when it comes to writing a book, let's just say for this one specifically, did you just write the whole thing and then chop it up into chapters, or did you think this is going to be chapter, this is going to be a chapter, this is going to be a chapter? How does that work?
I went to a writing conference before I ever decided to write a book, just because the Lord told me to. And I didn't even really want to write a book when I went to it, but I learned not to necessarily do it like that, but to kind of have an outline and to write the end first, which is weird. You think about it, but like, what's the end game? Like,
my wife reads the end of a book first before she decides if she wants to read it. Yeah. My wife is sitting right here in front of a microphone and she's covering her mouth so she's not heard. There, Jamie. But the mic's not even plugged in, but she's sitting here right now. And I can tell you that I've seen her shop for books.
And
she opens up the back page and reads it and then puts it back if it wasn't interesting. I don't know how that works. That's not how I do things. But
Jamie,
anyway,
you better read my book from start to finish.
So since you started your book with the ending, it better be good. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is.
You better took your time with the ending of this book.
The end actually is my favorite part. I share probably the most profound prophetic word I've ever gotten right at the end, just smack dab.
And that actually makes sense for me. I can understand. It's kind of like, I guess you said that, the end game. Like, it gives you something to shoot for, I think.
Yeah. Like, cool. What do you want to accomplish? Because I had to have what is it I want my reader to accomplish by the time they get to the end? And so I ended with the most powerful thing I had, which I feel like everyone who reads my book now is going to skip to the end of it and read the last page because I just told
my wife will. She'll do that. No, like that totally, like I've never thought about that. Again, I've never even considered writing a book, but that makes sense to me because I think what I would really struggle with, I think this is why I've never wanted to do it. I think I would struggle wrapping it up. Like I would struggle with finding an ending. I do that with sermons. I do that with talking. I do, it's like, wrap it up, Darin, and it's, I understand how that would be a struggle writing. Like I can see myself stressing out. Like I cannot come up with a powerful ending, but go with it first. Get it over with.
Then you don't have to crash land that way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You've got it already set up.
And if the ending's like, let's be real, you want the ending to be great.
Mm-hmm.
You want the end of the book to be the best part, like you said.
Yep.
So that, you can kind of, so the first part of the book's not going to be very good, you said. The ending is awesome.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
What are some other things that you got going on, Bethany?
Oh, first of all, I haven't been called Bethany since college.
Since the last time you saw me.
Or
I call
maybe
you Bethany.
then. Okay. I'm not really sure. That's pretty time consuming.
That's it?
Oh, you know what? No. This is called the Kingdom Bringer Podcast.
Yes.
I'm about to bring it, Darin.
Oh, snap.
Okay. So I was sharing this with you already, but I have been praying for like over a year, maybe even longer than that, I love the marketplace. I love business, and like that is where my passion and my heart is. But I was like reading all these business books and training, and like I have a degree in leadership studies, but like there was something in it that was always just kind of worldly and like had a twist of like that manipulation and like stuff that's not kingdom.
See, I've never really had a desire for, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I had to throw something at him, right, listeners?
Go ahead.
Okay, so like then I'm praying and I'm just asking the Lord, like, how can I purify this? How can I make my marketing and my, like what I do with my business pure and kingdom? And so I am telling the Lord, like, I need something. I need this, whatever, like help me out. And I came across, I believe that the guy who started a movement just like this, he was tricked into it by the Lord, which I've been tricked into lots of things by the Lord. And so I totally get that.
That's awesome.
He was tricked into this last year around this time. And I'm wondering, like, I go back and I think, Lord, was this thing an answer to my prayer? And probably thousands of other people, like an answer to my prayers. But it is a kingdom entrepreneurship, like, movement. It's a movement, and it is backed by some of the big name guys. It is so incredible. And it is like he has spent thousands of hours, like training with worldly gurus, and learning all this stuff, but filtering out everything that's not biblical, everything that's not kingdom. And he has like established this huge community of, it's just this like kingdom family.
Wow.
And I ran into and found an ad on Facebook back in March, and I've just, Aaron and I have just like been infiltrated into this like 12-month long mentorship program with it. And it is incredible. They're getting ready to they're doing one last push up the last few days of June. And in July, they're like kind of shutting it off for 3 months. And they're just going to like pour into everybody who's just come in. And
That's
it's
awesome.
it's so exciting because like that is what I need. We can use it for ministry. We can use it for business. We can use it. It's just like hammering the religious spirit, poverty mindsets, orphan spirit, all that stuff that's held the church back and held Christians back for so many years. It's held them back, and he's just hammers away at it. There's prophetic in there, and they're like giving, just like prophetic insights into like how to help people in their business. And so I'm serious. I'm like so on fire about this and so stoked that like I want to tell everybody about it. So this is a great opportunity. If you are kingdom minded, if you are looking for something like that, if you have a business, would like to have a business, have a desire to make like money to fund back into the kingdom, to help spread the gospel, if you want that, like I'm gonna give Darin a link to post that he can share that with you guys, and you got to get in on this. It's happening soon, and they're shutting it off for a while, but there's free resources, and then there's a paid mentorship as well. And it's just something that it's just in the first day, like it was worth the money that I spent on it. It's been so incredible.
Well, let's talk about the money that you spent on it. You said something that I found very inspiring. You had talked about investing in yourself,
yes,
and that's something that you have never really done. You didn't talk about that. Like when you say that you've never really invested in yourself, what were you
financially?
Yeah.
Financially, I don't know that I've ever, other than that writing conference that I went to, which the Lord called me to do. I don't know. And it was hard. It's hard to invest in ourselves, I think. It's really hard to think that we are worth it and that we're worthy of pouring money into and giving into. And the very first video that I watched when I got into this program was about how they were talking about good soil and the soil that we need to sow into. And they were just hammering that orphan spirit that feels like they're not good enough and they don't have a family and they don't have a father and they don't have people that love them. And they were hammering that away. And they were like, listen to me, you are good soil. You, listeners, are good soil. And you have to be willing to invest in yourself. Like you have to be willing. God invests in us. He invests in us all the time. Our family can see that we're good soil, but sometimes we are like our worst critic and we don't believe in ourselves and we don't invest in ourselves. And so I was like, wow, it was just so much confirmation because I told Aaron, I'm like, Aaron, I've been praying about this, and it was, I'll just tell you, it was $3,000. It was $3,000. And I'm like, we were raising money for the Malawi trip, and we've got Pakistan coming up, and we're like doing these things so beyond what we have the means for. And our faith is being stretched so much, like outrageously this year. And then I throw this $3,000 into it, and Aaron's like, okay, well, if you think so, like, let's be praying about how the Lord's going to work this out and how he's going to make this come to pass. And within, a month and a half's time, I get word of they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and they have marked that price down from $3,000 to $997. Yeah. And I saw it and I was like, Aaron, we have to. I said, I'll sell my car. I'll sell all the inventory I have for my business. I will sell it all. We have to do this. Like, I am so confident in this. And it was scary because I was basically saying, I believe in myself. I know the Lord has called me to this. I know. And then afterwards, I'm like, did I hear right? Am I sure I know?
Yeah.
Am I? And then the very first teaching and the first mentorship thing that I did on there was, you are good soil. You are worth it. You are worth this, and you're going to get such incredible value, and you're going to change so much. And they're just hammering away heart issues and just helping people to heal through junk that they've been taught and strongholds in our minds that we've just believed forever, and retraining us. Dan Muller always says, you were homeschooled in the wrong home.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying. We have so much stuff in us that's wrong mindsets that we have to get lined up with what the Bible truly says and what the kingdom really looks like. And so I'm so excited. I've listened to hours and hours and hours of stuff and just been so blown away. It's going to be exciting.
I think that's an amazing starting point when you realize that you can invest in yourself like that, especially for whatever reason. Financially is always the biggest investment, the hardest investment to make. But man, I would love to get to a place where I'm like, I know that there's no greater soil than me.
Right.
I should be okay saying, I trust more than any other soil that's out there. Yeah. My wife and I have given to other ministries. We've sown seeds in other ministries that we quote unquote trust as good soil. Mm-hmm. What about this soil?
Yes.
I should believe that this is the best soil, right?
That's true.
Because I know my relationship with the Lord greater than I know anybody else's relationship with the Lord. And so it's official. We are giving $40,000 to me tomorrow.
Yes.
To this podcast. I trust the soil that is the Kingdom Bringer podcast. Honey, who's sitting right next to me. Thank you for the motivation, Beth.
You're welcome.
We take that as truth in Jesus' name. No, that's amazing, though. It really is. And I feel like that's going to be a breakthrough moment for someone right now who has just been teetering on that. And I think the Lord gives passion and he gives desire to people that he trusts to carry things.
That's right.
But if they don't trust themselves and if they don't trust what they've got going on with the Lord, it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. God desires to partner with us that much that he actually allows us to move or not, right? To go or not. And so, no, I think that's awesome. It's powerful to hear that you saw yourself as good soil. That sounds so elementary, doesn't it? I can preach that to you all day long, but I don't even believe it for myself half the time. And so getting to that place where it's like, man, this is good soil. Why? Because God is in it.
That's right.
The kingdom is in this. Yes. It's good soil. That's good.
I love it.
That's good. Well, everybody check out Supernatural Living with Beth Packard wherever you listen to podcasts. Google, Apple Podcasts. You're on Spotify. You're on YouTube. Check out bethpackard.com. Is that right?
That's right.
Supernatural Living on Facebook. Is that right? Like always, we're going to have all this in the show notes. Anything else out there that you want the people to know about what you are doing, what this good soil that I'm looking at right now is doing?
I think I summed it up.
How can people sow into that good soil? Look at that. That was wasn't that awesome transition?
Yes.
How can people sow into this soil the same way you've sown into it?
I think I'm just feeling the Holy Ghost here.
Okay.
I think they should sow into themselves.
There you go.
I think you should sow into yourselves. I'm going to give Darin a link. I want you guys to follow this link. And if you are a kingdom person, which I'm not sure why you'd be listening to the Kingdom Bringer podcast, if you weren't a kingdom-minded person, I want you to sow into yourselves on my behalf. If that's what you want to do on my behalf, go to this link, check out this site, this acceleration, this 100x acceleration, and go look it up. Go ask the Lord, is this something you want me to sow into? And sow into yourselves. Sow into your good soil. It's not about me. It's about a movement. It's about the Lord raising up entrepreneurs, raising up kingdom-minded business people. It can be in the church, it can be in the marketplace, but raising up, he needs kingdom-minded people to have his money. The world has money right now, but the kingdom needs the money to fund these crusades, to fund these things, to fund missions around the world, to help people get out of human trafficking, to sex slave, like all this stuff. The kingdom needs this money. It's being used for evil right now. Money is not evil. The love of money is evil. And they are raising up an entire movement of people that are kingdom-minded, that are pure in heart, that love the Lord with everything they are. And they need money coming in, abundance of wealth coming in to sow back into the kingdom. And so I am encouraging you right now. In fact, I just declare over you, you are good soil. Listen to me. You are good soil. Write it down. I want you to write it down on a Sharpie, on your hand, on your paper, wherever you need to write it. You are good soil. And I want you to pray and then just say yes to sowing into yourself. Join us in this movement. Join us in this thing. It is going to be, it's just going to be so powerful. It's so powerful.
Man, I think this is so awesome because the whole basis of this podcast specifically, this whole network of podcasts specifically, is that the kingdom lives inside of you.
Yes.
The kingdom is inside of you. So hearing this, why do I feel like I feel like we're on one of those TV show, like with what do you call those, where you're like, call in right now. And
Yes.
That's so awesome though. Like I feel like it has the same spirit behind it. It's awesome. So this isn't about this is not a worldly podcast where we're saying that you deserve this. Right. We're not preaching like, man, I deserve this. No, the kingdom deserves this.
Yes.
Like the kingdom inside of me deserves this. I wouldn't be sowing into me if it wasn't for the kingdom inside of me.
That's right.
And so I think that's important for people to hear and know. And that's all I'm hearing from Beth right now is like the kingdom deserves you sowing back into yourself because Jesus did.
Yes.
Jesus gave everything for
That's
you.
Right. That's right.
The least we can do is actually see ourselves as worthy of that.
That's right.
That he didn't do it for nothing. He did it because we are worthy of this. Yes. And so, yes, right now, Beth gave you permission to sow into yourself, to sow into the kingdom that God absolutely cares about inside of you. And so, man, we just, I echo that. And I say yes and amen to that. That's awesome. And there will be a link in the show notes. You guys can check it out and follow her instructions right now. She's leading this charge. So thank you. That's awesome. So check it out again, Supernatural Living Podcast. Try to have new episodes every Tuesday. Anyway, thank you guys. Beth, thank you for coming on again.
Thank you.
You're amazing. I love hearing what you guys are doing in Winfield, Kansas at the Gathering Revival Center, in Africa, through books, through podcasts. You're international now, girl.
Oh, yeah.
This is an international ministry. That's so good.
Friends, you're amazing. You're so amazing. I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope that you were so blessed by this. If you'd like to hear the full interview, you can do so by going to kingdombringer.com and you can catch the full episode of Darin and I's interview where we talk about Africa and some other amazing things. It's so good. You're going to want to go and check that out. And don't forget to click in the show notes. I'm going to have information there for you to be able to sow into yourself, to sow a seed into yourself, and to join in on this movement that I shared with you today. You are going to be so blessed by it. I know you're going to be blessed by it, just like we've been blessed by it. You guys have an incredible week. Take action. Sow into yourself right now. Sow into yourself. Go check this out and let me know what you think. Please share this podcast. Share it with your friends. Share it with anybody you know that needs this. Like, review, subscribe, and give me some comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. Be blessed, friends.